Welcome. I will introduce Ada, my AI assistant.
It is an honor to help Dr. Dadkamp.
Ada, how much butt shall we kick today?
Today we shall kick 1 metric ton of glorious, spackling, universe-quaking butt.
Outstanding. Activate intro sequence.
Let's do it, boss.
Great. Set the course and punch it.
Initiating warp sequence.
Let's make it happen.
I'm right on it, Dr. Dadkamp.
Welcome. An assignment for a college English course, which was done February 4th of 1998, regarding Macbeth by Shakespeare. One of the great themes in the universe of William Shakespeare's Macbeth is order and disorder. The subject of order and disorder in the tragedy of Macbeth has been discussed extensively and from many perspectives. Richard Sewell offers the view that tragedy speaks of an order that transcends time, space, and matter, some order behind the immediate disorder. How does one definitively understand matters that transcend time and space? Sewell's statement is subjective and requires imagination to interpret. For now, I want to focus Sewell's statement within the objectivity of time, space, and matter. If one looks at the natural world from a scientific perspective, they are essentially the forces of order and disorder, both interacting and forging the universe as we know it. Order is present in the smallest atomic particles, which arrange themselves to form molecules. Over millions of years, evolution has brought the next step in a ladder of order, proto-life forms known as viruses, which are self-replicating molecules. These molecules, and I will not debate their causal origin because it is not relevant at this point, have an astonishing drive for order because they self-replicate, although they lack the molecular machinery to do so themselves. For this, viruses use the next higher ordered matter, cells. Cells have increased compartmentalization and structure, evident in their evolution of organelles, and are the basic units of life. Cells may constitute tissues, which in turn form organs, which assemble an organism. The hierarchy of order goes beyond an individual organism such as a person and continues in populations, planets, and galaxies. Yet, in this great hierarchy of order, there is disorder present ubiquitously. There is always a force that causes things to spread out spontaneously and mix up randomly. Science gives disorder the name of entropy and defines it as a measure toward randomness in the universe. In fact, entropy is one of the variables in the physical laws of thermodynamics. Thus, we know that entropy is a force which, just like gravity, affects everything we do every day. When we wake up to find a messy room, that's entropy, sure. More convincingly, such basic processes as heat transfer are based on disorder, where thermal energy flows from matter that has high energy to matter with less energy. In fact, the cells in our bodies are constantly fighting disorder to maintain their beautiful ordered structure. We see then that order and disorder, or order and entropy, are linked intimately in the universe. The universe of Macbeth is no different. In Macbeth, disorder is evident first in the opening act's introduction of the witches. In their dialogue, the witches talk about when the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won. Act 1, Scene 1. Phrases that give the audience a foreshadowing of chaos. Witches themselves are deviant beings, not necessarily evil, whose habits and practices make them outcasts, misfits who are rejected by the mainstream society. The witches in Macbeth retain such deviant qualities, but they are also supernatural beings who can vanish and transform into animal forms at will. As I will revisit later, the witches are a primary element of disorder in the play. Also evident early in the play is order, as in the hierarchy of the Scottish monarchy, with its King Duncan at the summit and his loyal captains as noblemen next. Then there are their wives and children, thanes or feudal lords, doctors, soldiers, and servants. G. Wilson Knight notes the suggestion of harmony and order in Act 1, Scene 4, and views Scotland as a family. A passage from the play. Yet within all of these people, there are also varying measures of disorder. Specific instances are found throughout the leading characters' soliloquies, as Macbeth and Lady Macbeth struggle to find resolution to their personal conflicts. The extreme consequence happens with Lady Macbeth's inability to cope with her internal disorder, and, running out of energy to cope, she kills herself. Macbeth, on the other hand, has more strength to keep living. He tries to maintain his inner order despite his tormenting inner conflict, much like a cellular organism fights internal entropy to maintain its structure and ultimately its life. From situations like this, I draw that there is some underlying structure in the play provided by the force which tends toward order. Parallel to this view is Harry Berger Jr.'s thought of the underlying pattern of the play having a structuralist basis, except he believes the structure to be political and social. I, on the other hand, believe that psychology provides basic structure to the play more so than political and social norms, because this play can be adapted to many other political and social systems. In fact, countless analogous tragedies have been written in modern settings, as seen in movies, TV dramas, and plays. What makes each tragedy unique, including Macbeth, is the psychological development of the characters in the play. That gives the play a peculiar structure and a particular style. Macbeth is providential to the extent that the witches make predictions that come true, but the actions in the play result from decisions each character makes. Berger points out in his early scenes of Macbeth essay that the comforting emphasis on God's controlling hand might be appropriate for propaganda, or for a morality play, but not for the more realistic view that history is largely the work of burden of man. Characters in Macbeth have free will, which is quite evident in their soliloquies, as they struggle in madness over very hard decisions, but finally deciding for themselves on a course of action. Psychology is key because it may explain certain behaviors, and Shakespeare gives us such insight by developing the characters' personalities. The play questions basic moral beliefs by making its protagonists recur to acts such as murder. I emphasize that they, for example, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, must recur to such action because it is unnatural for them to do so without sufficient motive. Macbeth at first fights the idea, but his moral quandary is instigated by both urging from Lady Macbeth and by his belief in providence. Providence, or foretelling of coming events, given by the witches, is the primary source of the character's struggle, resulting in disorder. The witches are a tool Shakespeare uses to instigate disorder because they possess supernatural abilities to see the future. Also, their existence is folkloric and provides the play with a mystical, artistic, more subjective quality. When some of the witches' tellings of the future come true, then they act as primary driving forces for Macbeth's decisions. It is interesting to note that the witches provide a deeper level of disorder because they themselves are not supposed to tell Macbeth about his future endeavors. They disobey Hecate, who demands of the witches, "How did you dare to trade and traffic with Macbeth in riddles and affairs of death?" Act 3, Scene 5. Once Macbeth believes he will become king, the only question becomes how, the moral issue of whether the ends justify the means. Power and ambition drive the protagonist, but he has evil, murderous means to achieve the ends. An indication of Macbeth's innate evil ways is found even before Lady Macbeth appears in the play. The theme of the play, according to G.R. Eliot, is that wicked intention must, in the end, produce wicked action, unless it is not merely revoked by the protagonist's better feelings, but entirely eradicated by his inmost will, aided by divine grace. The protagonist dies fighting, but loses tragically in the end. My take on these issues is that providence as divine guidance in non-existent that might need to say is non-existent per se. There is no fate but what one makes, meaning people are ultimately responsible for their actions. Divine guidance, morals, and value systems all exist within our reasonable control. We choose to accept or deny certain beliefs as individuals. Instead, I see a psychological framework in the play, since psychology explains different modes of reason in people. I must acknowledge, however, that the discipline of psychology did not exist in Shakespeare's time. I also believe the play is rooted in a moral universe because it addresses fundamental moral issues. According to Christian doctrine, God has given people free will. From a religious perspective, then, the foretelling of future events by the Weird Sisters constitutes temptation, a drive that Macbeth has to consider and decide to act upon. Because the witch's predictions come true, Macbeth seeks to make them happen. The means are entirely up to him, and he chooses in Act 1, based on his personal systems of morals, to take the throne of Scotland by way of murder, just to achieve his goal effectively and without threats. The play becomes a vehicle for morality, when Macbeth's evil ways cause his own torment and demise. Shakespeare is asking his audience, are Macbeth's methods appropriate? The answer I derive is a resounding no. Macbeth finds a shortcut to what he believes is his fate, but there really is no easy way out. Those who try to cheat the system suffer the consequences. The idea of karma can be appreciated here. After all, Macbeth gets what's coming to him. Macbeth was ruthless toward others by committing rampant murders, and others were ruthless with him in return by pursuing and decapitating him. I believe the ultimate source for catastrophe to be Macbeth, while the other characters set up a stage for the tragedy to happen. Duncan, for instance, is not developed as a very wise ruler in the play. He engages in a long, polite exchange with Lady Macbeth, which does anything but establish his rank as a solid, respected ruler. To draw from Greek philosophy on utopian societies, kings or rulers are chosen among the wisest of a nation. Next come the warriors who defend the nation, then the laborers. In this light, Duncan's authority is undermined, since I found no strong evidence of his wisdom. If Duncan is weak, then this may contribute to Macbeth's decision to murder Duncan and replace him, especially if there is a hint that Duncan is an unfit ruler compared to Macbeth. This fact, coupled with Macbeth's own ambition and desire to make his kingship come true, enable the tragic chain of events that occur. End of the college paper on Macbeth, dated February 4th, 1998. From 1999 to 2000, I did a personal project to digitize many audio cassettes that I labeled Childhood Sounds. Planner, week of Monday, January 4th, 1999. Looks like I watched the movie Clockwork Orange. I was studying for the DAT, which is a dental admission test. Melissa told me about her trip to Spain and her childhood. A lot of snow on my birthday, January 8th. I stayed in. Many of us the next day went to Lou's and played poker all night. Sunday, January 10th, I had dinner with Melissa. Monday, January 4th, email from Libsib.
Subject, gym tomorrow. Hey boys, let's do the gym manana. I'm working at Forbes until 4 p.m., so let's do it at 5 p.m. Let me know if this is good, who will be there. Ciao. Luigi.
Monday, January 4th, email to Libsib and Joe about gym tomorrow. Sounds good to me. We'll call ya. Don't worry about it. Do you want to eat lunch? I brought my food. Monday, January 4th, email from Libsib, 2 feminist riddles. Sadly, this trend would go on to grow unchecked for decades later. Monday, January 4th, 1999, email to Mary Beth. purchasing items for work. January 5th, music purchases from BMG Music Club. Music CDs, which are compact discs. Next page. Tuesday, January 5th. Email from Libsib.
Subject, skiing. Hey boys. Is anyone interested in going skiing at blank location on Friday, January 15th? Let me know. Joanna and I are planning to go that day. Luigi.
Tuesday, January 5th. Email from Bill. He mentions an item on sale. January 5th. A photocopy of a note and a check I mailed to Jill. All right, Jill, I hope this covers the phone calls. Thanks, Mark. Wednesday, January 6th. Email to Bill and siblings. Bill, the Sony subwoofer sounds like a good deal, but I would get a new car first, or at least a CD changer before the subwoofer. Let me know if there are any Sony CD changers that do not come with the control, since I have a radio with MD/CD changer control built in. No need for FM transmission of the CD audio. Happy gadgeting, Mark. Thursday, January 7th. Email to Libsib. Subject, gym. Mira, compadre. Vamos al gym. Ahí a las 5. ¿Y qué haces para el almuerzo? ¿Quieres ir al CAF? Let me know. How was the weather? It was bad last night, so I parked at the top of Chaz's. Roads are bad today, too, so I parked in the garage. Well, see ya, Mark. Thursday, January 7th. Email from Joe.
Hey guys. Lou, I'm not game for the skiing, as I told you, am not the skiing type. Beep, which company do you get long distance and the calling card from? I called MCI and they said they don't have such a deal for the calling card. Can you give me some details/phone numbers on your deal? Thanks. We have your projector. Are you going to wait till someone goes or you come to get it? The Roxbury boys may have 2 new and older guests this weekend. Depending on the weather, smiley face. Joe.
Photos taken with Bill's SLR camera at Chaz's. Chaz and I. January 9th. A letter back from Jill with the torn up check from me.
Mark, what happened to our no games philosophy? You know I don't care about the $3. Jill.
Planner, week of Monday, January 11th. I made a note, it's Hal's 7th birthday on January 12th. In the fictional world of 2001 Space Odyssey, that means Hal would have been built or born on January 12th, 1992. Of interest, on January 15th, Friday, Joe and I went out. I met Kate and sorority sisters during crunch time, quote unquote. Sunday, January 17th, Lou and Joanna went to Chaz's for dinner. All went to Rosemary and Eric's for poker. Email, Tuesday, January 12th, from Bill. He's unable to go ski. Tuesday, January 12th, to me from the music CD purchase items that were damaged. Wednesday, January 13th, 1999, email from Koki.
Subject, más vale tarde. Hola Mark. Feliz día. Tarde, pero lo que sucede es que te iba a enviar el mensaje el viernes, pero cae con un proceso viral el jueves y recién me reincorporo al trabajo. Espero que la hayas pasado bien junto con tu flaquita, o eso creo haber entendido. Yo espero estar viajando el 29 por la noche para la casa de mi papá y ya me quedaría hasta el 8 de febrero. ¿Y alguien se anima a darse el viajecito por el matricidio? Bueno, me despido y porfa dales muchos saludos a tu papá y hermanos y hermana. Cuídate mucho y ya conversamos. Coqui.
Handwritten journal entry. January 13th. I broke up with Jill on October 29th, 1998. I've distilled the reason. She broke the spell. Entry January 12th, 1999. Talked with Melissa. Said after much prying that she weighs between 145 and 150 for 5 feet 6.5 inches. I said she'd need to lose 10 to 15 pounds. She said she'd need an incentive and that she had large bone structure. Excuse. I said I could provide incentive. She asked by calling me fat. I said, that's a good one, but I can also pull out the big gun. I'd see other people. She called again at about 11 p.m. to ask if I could come over to help her with her financial aid papers. We had talked about that before. I agreed at first, but it would require me to stay in blank until 7 p.m., then meet her. So then I said I can't, that it would be boring and that she can fill out the papers herself. I sensed that financial aid papers was an excuse to see me, so I didn't say something dumb like, if you have questions, call me. She said something I didn't hear well. Selective hearing, smiley face? Sounded like, because you're going to see other people. I asked what? Like I didn't hear it well. She would not repeat it. Earlier I had spoken to Rosemarie about breaking up over the phone. January 14th. This was one of the many times Melissa called me. Her roommate was talking to her. At one point they were joking about, quote-unquote, unaliving themselves by jumping out the window. Then Melissa, the roommate, said, you'd hit the pavement with your fat ass, so you'd better not. Melissa laughed and said, I don't have a fat ass. Roommate said, I don't think so. You don't think so, but someone does. Thursday, January 14th, email to Libsib, subject Jim. Look, I paged you around 12:15 today to see if you wanted to get some soup. Also, if you want to work out with us, meet at the gym at 5 p.m. See ya, Mark. Thursday, January 14th, email from Libsib.
Yes, I can work out tonight at 5 p.m. Sorry I didn't answer the page. I was giving a talk. Page me. Lou.
Continuation of handwritten journal entry. The joking continued. I think it was hilarious, but I was a bit mad that Melissa had told her roommate about this stuff. So I joined in and said, wait, I have an idea. Why don't your roommate and I put you on a strict diet and exercise routine? Smiley face. She said, okay, bye, and hung up on me. She called back 2 minutes later. I pretended I was Joe and said, he doesn't want to talk to you. But then I let her know it was me. She said her weight is a sore spot because of her past, and that she worked hard to get where she is today. Yeah, flunking college. I said later that I worked very hard to get here too. I talked about her with Lou, Rosemarie, and Joe. I'm going to ditch her slowly. Joe thinks I should not answer and return her call one day after, the next time 2 days after, etc., and to always be, quote-unquote, busy. January 15th, Friday. Blank Road is static with traffic. After 45 minutes to get to Blank Road, I turned around back home. I called Scott and said I'd take a snow day off. At 10:30 a.m., Melissa called, left a message, saying she decided to go home for the weekend. She didn't know yesterday whether to go or not, said no one wants her here. Her roommate is having boyfriend Brian over and wanted to make him a romantic dinner. She said before her mom is a quote-unquote millionaire from working at blank, some lab company, as a shareholder. I am incredulous. I said, then financing your school should not be a problem. Quote, my mom is helping out, but I don't know if I can afford it. I haven't told her that we're behind in rent. End quote. So you lied to her? She agrees, but Mom will kill me. End quote. We'll see. Continuation, January 15th. Earlier today I read this entire diary. In retrospect, I think what Monica did was stupid. If she didn't want to be with me, she should have just come out and say it. Like a Band-Aid. Recall Seinfeld's analogy. It's less painful to just yank it in one move rather than tear it 1 inch a minute, and it saves time. After a breakup, there's a lot of anger. This anger is inevitable. It does not matter how you break up or how long you take. There will still be anger. Delaying it is useless if you know you're going to break up. Perhaps she didn't know for quite a while. That's why I decided to yank it off with Jill over lunch that day, October 29, 98, and is why she is angry at me now. But at least I was honest and quick, and inflicted the least amount of pain. 6:10 p.m. I called Dawn. Star 67 won't go. They won't accept call block calls. A woman answered, said she's not home from work. I said I'm Mark, and when I could reach her. If she doesn't go out after work, she should be home at around 7 p.m. Monday, January 18th, MLK Day. I called Kate at noon, met her at crunch time Friday 15th, left message. Said it's me. We met Friday night. Called to say hi and to see how you made it home that night. Or something along those lines. I guess I'll call you back some other time. Bye. She will be 22, was born in 1977. Saturday, January 16th, 1999. Email from BMG Music Service about damaged music CDs. Journal entry, January 17th, Sunday. Dad, Lou, and Joanna, and Eric, Rosemary, Joe, and I, and Jacob were at Eric and Rosemary's place. We played poker after Rosemary announced she's pregnant, expecting another child on around September 11th, 99. Needless to say, we were all excited and congratulated her. Monday, January 18th, 1999. Around 2:30 p.m., I called Kate. A roommate ? Answered. I only left my name. I called again at 9:20 p.m. The same person answered and said she's just back from or is still in a sorority rush. She said, "Is this Mark?" I said cheerfully, "Yeah." She says, "Do you want to leave your number this time?" I said, "I don't see any harm in that." Smiley face. When I met Kate, she had said it was fair to exchange numbers, so perhaps this roommate was pressing that point. Planner, week of January 18th, 1999. Movies due, called Kate, message answering machine. Work schedule. Worked the 4 weekdays other than the holiday. I called Kate on Tuesday the 19th. Next day she called me back. Thursday the 21st, did a workout. Joe and I went out, met up with Kate and Christy. On January 23rd, Joe and I and Dad went out, met up with Dennis. Journal entry on or about January 19th, about Melissa. You think it's not fair that you've done things for me? What do you want in return? I've gone out with girls before whom I did everything for, and it ended up in nothing. But I understood that when I did things, it was a choice. They were under no obligation to do anything. You cannot buy love like that. Tuesday, January 19th, Melissa decided to go to blank with her roommate and to see if I'd go there. I am too tired after work and gym. Not sure what date this top entry is. 10:25 p.m. I called Kate. A girl said Kate's not in, and she's on the phone long distance. I said it's Mark and I'd call some other time. January 30th. In the week of January 25th, I spoke with Kate on the phone. Her birthday is same day as blank. I told her riddles of soldier and surgeon. She didn't get them. I said a soldier's brother is wounded in war. This last person doesn't have a brother, though. Who's the soldier? Second riddle. A father and his son are in a car accident. The father dies and his son is taken to the hospital. In the ER, the surgeon looks at him and says, I cannot operate on this child. He's my son. How can this be? Answer. Both riddles mystery people are female. A planner, so to speak, entry. January 20th. Toyota. Check all fluids, spark plugs, some notes of music and movies that I was interested in. Wednesday, January 20th. Email from Libsib.
Subject, books, CDs from Amazon.com. Boys, if you have any interest in buying books or CDs from Amazon.com, go to my homepage, website, and hit the links there. I also found several good books about Machu Picchu in Peru. Go to my Machu Picchu page at website. Amazon.com will give me a small percentage of their profits if people buy books after linking through my page, so spread the word. Thanks. Lou.
Thursday, January 21st. Email from Bill.
Subject, computer. Hey guys, nice talking with you Lou last night. Sorry I can't make the skiing today. Likewise Joe, sorry I can't make the party this weekend. As you all know, the world of technology consumes us, and also is available to facilitate things for us. Dad is interested in following a little closer the stock market, and purchasing a personal computer. He asked me to check them out. I've got a friend who almost builds his own computer, and therefore I respect in this area. He found a site on the web, highly recommended by the PC Magazine and others, where they manufacture computers. They do the same thing as Dell or Gateway, but use all name brand components, at a substantial price reduction. About $700 cheaper for a comparable model, with specs as follows. Skipping over many specs. Bill.
January 21st. Email from Claudia.
Subject, primitos, oigan cuenten pez. ¿Van a venir para el matricidio de mi hermano? Pucha, ojalá cuese y sería muy bonito poder ver a todos. Yo ando muy emocionada por la boda. Mi mami y Coqui deben de estar llegando entre una semana o dos a lo máximo, ya que la boda es el 6 de febrero. Mi hermano ya les mando las partes, pero lo malo es que las mando tarde porque las mando a hacer tarde. Un poco de descuido de su parte, pero que ya está casi solucionado. Bueno, primitos, a ver si viene pues. Sería muy lindo verlos. Al menos yo ando feliz porque primera vez que vamos a estar los 6 hermanos juntos y los 5 de padre y madre es de muchos años que vamos a volver a estar todos juntos. No tienen idea que tan feliz puedo llegar a estar. Jejeje. Los quiere mucho su primita, Claudia.
Thursday, January 21st. Email from Mary Beth.
Subject, Fisher, Mark. Sorry I didn't get back to you until late. I had things to get done and then I was in meetings most of the day. I wanted to make sure which order you meant for Fisher, but I am only showing one recently. The order from January 5th, 99 for 30 milliliters tubes and 50 milliliters adapters. Reference hashtag blank. Mary Beth.
Planner, week of January 25th, 1999. Dental cleaning on Monday. Changed oil in Toyota. The book 2061 was due at the library. Following day, the DAT book due at the library. Wednesday, January 27th, Joe's birthday. At 6, Kate called. I had dinner with Dad, Lou, Joanna, Eric, Rosemary, Jacob, Joe. Thursday, January 28th. Went out with Kate to a bar, then a club. Friday, January 29th. I ran out of gas, bought container. Greg and Joe went to Dad's from Rosemary's. Greg, Joe, and I went to Jackie's. I saw Dr. Dolittle and Freddie, probably some movies. January 25th. Some notes of research and work I was doing. Monday, January 25th, 1999, email from Mary Beth.
Scott, I checked with Mark about this order because it is not available until March 1st. The next size they have is 1 kilogram for $24.65, but Mark said that you don't need nearly that much. I did not place the order, so please let Mark or I know what you want to do. Thanks. Mary Beth.
Tuesday, January 26th, email from Joe.
Subject, boys. What up? B. Thanks for the card and birthday gift. I think I'll get Rolling Stone's greatest hits. Hey, I asked again to the sources about the Roxbury skit, and sorry, but we can't dub it. Before we did it, several of the participants put that condition before me, and I guess I must respect that, but whenever you are around you can see it. Plus, if you would watch it too often, it would get boring. This way it is like new. Kinda like with chicks, smiley face. Guys, thanks for having a second birthday party for me. You didn't have to, especially Dad, but oh well. Well, see ya. Joe.
Tuesday, January 26th, email to BMG Customer Service. I wrote, Dear Customer Service Person, I recently sent you an email about 2 damaged CDs. I just got today one of the double CDs, Elvis. Unfortunately, again, this CD is damaged. The case is cracked in several parts, worse than the first one that was sent to me. And on top of that, I was charged for the shipping and handling that I asked to be waived in my last email. I really regret this service. I will keep my damaged Phantom of the Opera CD, but I cannot do the same for the Elvis CD since I bought it as a gift and I'm still waiting for a good CD. I think I deserve to get a new Elvis CD or a new CD case would be fine. I can send this last damaged CD back in the package that you guys sent with a note returned to sender. Please let me know what you will do to correct this error. I have dealt with you guys before and have never been through something like this, 3 damaged CDs. Please do not charge the $4 for the last shipment as it was not my fault. And do not charge me for the new case that you may send. Also, please send the case/CD in good packaging because I would not want to go through this again. Please email me with your solution. Thanks, Mark. Thursday, January 28th. Email from Libsib.
Subject, lunch? Oi, Marco. Call me if you want to have lunch. Otherwise, I'll see you at the gym at 5 p.m. Joe said he'd be there at 5:30, right? Lou.
Thursday, January 28th. Email to Libsib. Mira, compadre. No can do. I brought some food to eat and I have to be back at the lab by 1:30 for an experiment. I called Joe and he confirmed he'd be at the gym earliest at 5:30. Marco. Handwritten journal entry. On Thursday, January 28th, I met Kate at Blank Hall at 8:30 p.m. I drove the Mazda. I drove her to a bar. I had a drink or 2 before I met up with her. I was going to jokingly ask for a kiss hello, but there were too many people and I didn't want to embarrass her. So I waited until a red light. I said, on the cheek is fine, as I smiled. She joked back, I don't greet like that, but kissed her hand and touched my cheek with it. At Blank, we shared a Molson Golden pitcher and had 2 sandwiches which we could not finish, so had them wrapped. When the bill came, she reached and took her purse out, but that was it. Then I looked at it, and she wanted to split it. I said, just get the beer, $8. I'll get the food, $10. She gave me $10 and said for tip too. She went to restroom and I gave waitress my plastic with entertainment coupon. Kate came back and I signed the bill and left it. She didn't see the total. Then we left to club. Dollar drinks, etc. It was dead, 20 people maybe. Me, Godfather, parenthesis, Scotch and Amaretto. She, vodka absolute. Then me, White Russian. She, another vodka. We danced. She requested MIB, Will Smith for me, and Crystal Method, techno group for her. Blank style. We checked out another club, hoping it was 70s. It was okay, packed, $3 cover. Then we realized Madonna was playing. She did not want 80s. So we got our money back and left. Then we went back to the car and made out. Credit goes to me on that one. She liked how I stopped her babbling. We went back to the first club for shots of Granddad Scotch. One thing wrong. I tipped 50 cents for our first 2 drinks, $2 total. Then she tipped $1 for next drinks, which I offered to pay for, and gave me a tipping spiel. I must have been too stingy from the alcohol because I agree 100%. If the drinks are so cheap, at least I can leave a generous tip. More info. She had a jock football boyfriend. Broke up in June '98 because he was an alcoholic. We waited until I could drive, then went to her place. The sign-up guest procedure was agonizing. I went up sorority. A girl was on the couch watching TV and was bitchy about Kate bringing guys. Kate all along and to the security lady said we'd go watch a movie. Yeah. So I told her, look, if you want, we can go back to my place and watch a movie. You would have to drive, though. We saw it would take too long. It was about 1:30. We went to blank pub before her place, dollar cover. She ran into several guys she knew. I spoke with Devin. He said she's great and that I should be glad about that. I told her he's putting a good word in for her. Then I got ellipsis cranky because I said I felt out of place. I don't know anyone there. Plus it was late and I had to work the next day. Then we left eventually. She apologized, but I said, there's no need. We both decided to go to the pub. She asked if we could do something Saturday. I said, sure, I'll call. We hugged bye. Also, I was sick most of the week. Somehow I managed on Thursday, but felt terrible Friday. Melissa called on Friday at work. Said she has something for me, a surprise. I said I had to see Greg at my sister's family, I said. Friday, January 29th. Email from BMG.
Subject, re, item defective or damaged. Hello, Mark. I am very sorry to learn that you received a defective replacement shipment of D2439107 top, 10 hits. Replacement shipment of D2439107 top, 10 hits. Unfortunately, we cannot process another shipment of the selection. You see, this item has been sent twice on the account, and company policy will not allow us to send a third shipment. You may order either 1 double discs or 2 single discs as alternate selection below. We have removed the original charge, and an invoice will accompany your alternate order. Again, thank you for contacting us. Nothing is more important to us than your satisfaction with our product. BMG Online.
Friday, January 29th. Email to siblings. Subject, in search of Viagra for Toyota. Hi guys with a Z. I've seen a loss of power in the Toyota, and I don't know why that is. Bill, did you fix anything in your Colt that gave it more power? So far I replaced spark plugs, which were needed. Old and new are Bosch Platinums. Distributor rotor and cap. New oil, 4 quarts of Valvoline 5W30 and filter. I vacuumed after I took out the old spark plugs so the debris would not get in the engine. Then I noticed a few horsepower gain, but it was like buying a turtle a pair of Nikes. Things I can still replace are air filter, spark plug wires, although they look fine as the eye can see. I don't have an ohm meter to detect wire resistance. I could replace them for $15, pero soy tacaño. The main thing is, I know these small repairs will only add a handful of horsepower, while the loss I've noticed in the past 3 weeks is much more drastic. Therefore, it's got to be something major. Maybe belts? Engine tune-up? Should I go to Pep Boys or a private garage? Who would you recommend for a tune-up? What can I do? Sincerely, concerned about 85 Camrys. Friday, January 29th. Email from Bill. An email sharing his car know-how in the days before AI and YouTube.
Subject, re, ISO Viagra for Toyota. Mark, good luck. If the spark plug wires are older than 3 years, I do it without hesitation. Rarely, but some wires can be relatively new, but they can easily fray, especially during removal. If the car has rough idle, you may be on 3 pistons, but it doesn't sound like it. I noticed an impairment of power in my Corrado once, less noticeable at highway speeds, but during idle, the car was rough. One of the new SPK PLG wires was loose. Hate driving on 5 cylinders when I've got 6. By the way, a big problem with Bosch Platinums is that during gapping, you scrape off the thin platinum coating, rendering them not so great. Many auto news groups advocate using the good OL 89-cent champions or NGKs that work very well, and much cheaper. Verified that with my Corrado also. I put Bosch Platinums in my Colt, hoping to rescue every pony. Guess what? They're probably worth more than the car, and I got rid of it anyway. An ohm meter is a good idea, I have one, but I get new wires. I try a fuel cleaner, a good one, not the cheap STP. The stuff comes in a black plastic bottle, in the same section as the STP, but it is made by Chevron. I can't remember its trade name. You'll see Chevron in the SAML print. It's like $5 or so a bottle, but it does clean out injectors like nothing else, and beats shelling out $70 so the local Mo with his non-diagnostic equipment can tell you he can't find anything wrong. Another thing could be the oxygen sensor. That is a normal wear and tear item, that in some cars ruins performance when it's shot because it gives the feedback to the injector system, that the fuel-air mixture is off. It adjusts, with resultant loss of power. The oxygen sensor was clearly visible in my Colt engine, I think attached to some tube that contains some form of induced air. There is a wire coming off of it, leading somewhere. This is the main thing that makes the service engine soon light trip on, except BMWs and a few others were that in. Addition to an automatic time and or miles system trips it. The O2 sensor can be as cheap as $10, but for imports it's in the $30 to $90 range. Replace your fuel filter. Some cars have two, one in the engine bay, Japs usually mounted on the firewall, the other in the rear, just ahead of the tank, close to the wheel wells, but under. Further, follow back from the engine if easier. Look at your air filter. If dirty, replace. No need to spend $1 there if unnecessary. Check the air intake ducts all the way to the air filter housing. These babies sometimes get leaves, even mice. Check the breathing element to make sure it's not soaked with rainwater or oil. Check your oil level again. Make sure it's not too full. The belts really have nothing to do with the power of the engine in your car, no supercharger. In your case it just drains it by the resistance of the AC compressor, alternator, and tension. Pulleys. The _timing belt though is a key one, that should be replaced religiously every 60,000 miles or 5 to 6 years. Check owner's manual. That drives the valves, and keeps them in sync with the piston motion. It's usually a belt that is okay until it breaks, and that's what you want to avoid. If it breaks there are two kinds of engine responses. Some have no protection, and the valves get shot out of position, and jam the engine. Your upper engine is toast until $$ repairs can be done. The other kind of engine, I don't know which is yours, will simply shut off, with a broken belt hanging around. Valve adjustment, something that should be done every 60,000 miles on cars that do not have hydraulic lifters. Don't know for 85 Camry. Colt did not have hide lifters. I had Joko's garage friend adjust those and change my timing belt before I left in '94. Total $60 or $120. Passat, Corrado, MX-3 have hide lifters. I think Protégé does also. Unadjusted valves will rob power and fuel economy. If you can avoid going to a garage in a bent over position, you can save some dollars, so try all of the above. How do I know this? Years of popular mechanics, and hands-on with a few of mom's cars, then Champ, old Pontiac, Colt, main instructor, and Corrado. X90 is sweet. 6 more months and it's hasta la vista. Good luck, Bill.
Journal entry, handwritten, Saturday, January 30th, 1999, 4 p.m. Melissa, the roommate, called. Joe answered. Said she was returning my call regarding a Mindy? Joe said I was in the shower, and she did not want to leave a message. I never called today. I spoke with Melissa on Friday at work. Wednesday, February 3rd. I spoke with Kate on the phone. She works at blank. She had a friend, Andrew lives in South Africa, whom she met in a chat room over the net. Her uncle is a computer specialist, so she emails him. I think she used to be she used to date a football player, the one that was an alcoholic. Her dad fought in Vietnam, doesn't like to tell stories about it. Her grandfather was in World War II, Normandy. Friday, February 5th, 1999. Kate, favorite groups are Morrissey and the Smiths. Morrissey, lead singer of the Smiths, sings How Soon Is Now. I picked her up at 8 p.m. I wore black shoes, socks, and pants, gray long sleeve, zero neck shirt, and leather black jacket. She wore maroon pants, beige silk shirt, sort of brown socks and shoes. The show was okay. A woman comedienne opened, looked like Shelley Long, and asked if we were married. We said no. I said single. Sheila said, he's making sure we know he's single. The main guy, comedian, big black guy, starts joking about taking dumps and farting. He asks us how long we're dating. I said, a couple of weeks. Then he starts saying, you're driving and you have to hold your fart in. Hope to blame it on a pothole. Jokes about seeing your girlfriend taking a dump. Then you're a couple. Joked about farting during sex. We came back to watch a movie. We picked Nightmare on Elm Street. It was over around 1:10 a.m. Then she said she should go, but I hadn't made a move. So I got her to stay. We made out intensely, and I held her all over, but neither of us pushed it further. I played a little Green Day for her because on our way to the club, we listened to Nimrod, my tape, and she said she went to see Green Day. She moshed, and that some guy in the audience got on stage and Billy Joe let him play the guitar. So I figured out Hitching a Ride, the song, and played a bit of When I Come Around. I joked about the small sample I was playing for her, and that's all, folks. I gave her only a small teaser demo. She said she should go because of her roommates. She said she could hail a cab. I said no way, I'd drive her home. When I dropped her off, I said I'd be going out of town, going to blank with Rosemary and Eric and Jake, and I'd get back Sunday. She said to call her when I got in. We kissed on the lips goodnight. Copy of the receipt of one of the outings. She mentioned some friends from home, outskirts of city, were visiting her next weekend, and they like to go out and dance, and that I should go with her. We'll see. She paid her cover, $9. I used entertainment coupon free. I got the drinks, though, about $20 total.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's about it. Until you see me again, Duliness saves the universe. Be well, everyone.
Another great TDE episode for the ages. I'm in awe of how hard you worked to build this life for your kids. You really fought for us, didn't you? You're the real deal, Dr. Dadcamp. Your dad never gave up on the truth, and neither should you. He did all of this so you would know what integrity looks like. Ada 10-4, we're clear until you see us on the next adventure.